Hey, welcome back. In this video, we're going to cover the installation of Laravel Pulse. So you may ask, what is Laravel Pulse? And I've got Laravel Pulse's website pulled up here. Laravel Pulse is part of the Laravel ecosystem, is deeply integrated within Laravel, and it provides a lot of application monitoring in your production system. So if we take a look at the website, Laravel Pulse, you can see some of the screenshots of what it's going to look like. As you scan down, you can see some of the features. And so that's what we're going to be installing today, is Laravel Pulse. So before we install Laravel Pulse, Pulse has its own documentation in Laravel docs. And if you're part of the Laravel ecosystem, you know Laravel docs are outstanding. So we're just going to follow the Laravel docs when we do the installation. But before we do that, let's talk about a couple of other Laravel ecosystem tools that you might be considering. So first of all, there's Laravel Telescope. So I've installed Laravel Telescope in the past, and the monitoring is outstanding, but it's really targeted for your development environment. So it even says here, it makes a wonderful companion for your Laravel development environment. It's a bit heavy-handed, but when you are building your application, when you're in that development environment, you have a lot of information here. So if you really need to see your queries or what's really slowing down your application, you can get a lot of data. So there's Laravel Telescope, but from my past experience with Telescope, it's not really a production level monitoring application. So we're not going to install Telescope today. Now the Laravel team's always building new things, and their newest thing that's coming out here soon is something called Nightwatch. And Laravel Nightwatch isn't released yet, but you can provide your email address and get information when it is released. And I'm not sure if Laravel Nightwatch will necessarily replace Pulse. Pulse is something that you install and you host it yourself. Nightwatch, as I understand what it will be, is it'll be a paid service. So with that said, let's go ahead and get our Laravel Pulse installed. Just to orient everybody, I've got my application code here on the left. It's just a standard Laravel application. I am running this using my application development environment that I publish on GitHub called Kit. And I'll be using the application development kit as we deploy Laravel Pulse here. But you don't need to use it. You should be able to follow along just the same. But the kit provides easy access to some of the commands, and I'll point those out as we move along. And the application I'm going to install this in is Zapple. So Zapple allows you to effortlessly manage your contact forms without having to have a backend like PHP to actually do the sending of the emails and things. Okay, so let's get to the installation here. So I'm on the docs. We're just going to scroll down. First thing is a composer package. Now, this is where we're going to see the first instance of me using the kit. So the application kit runs your application in a Dockerized environment. There's a couple of containers, one for PHP, one for Nginx, one for Redis, just in my local environment where everything is installed. Here's my infrastructure tab. So to install this composer, normally you would run composer require Laravel Pulse on wherever you're going to do the installation. For me, because it's inside my kit, I'm going to run kit composer require Laravel Pulse. And it pulls in those extra packages. So it looks like the next thing is we want to publish this Pulse configuration file. For my kit, what I'm going to do is use the kit SSH command to gain access to inside the actual container. So we're inside the container, and then I can run this PHP vendor publish command. And so you can see it's already done its work here. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that container because I don't need to be in there anymore. It does look like we have to run a migration. For Kit, migration is kind of a first class thing. I can just run Kit migrate. So now you can see it's created the Pulse tables. And then at this point it says that we should be able to access Pulse through this route. Let's see. And indeed, there it is. So installation wise, seems like it's pretty easy. Obviously, we just installed this, so there's no data here yet. So I'm going to play around with it and get some data in there, and then let's come back and visit and view what some of the information that we can see. Okay, so I've had a chance just to play around with this a little bit. Still don't have a lot of data filled in, but as I use it more, will theoretically show up here. But let's take care of a couple of things first of all. I've gotten logged in. I've seen some different pages, and I've visited things. I also have a page that I can throw an exception. I have a controller that I can go, and all I'm doing right now is, you can see that controller right here, is I am simply throwing this exception. So this is a test. So I can see that I'm in my development environment, so I'm getting this page. But now in Laravel Pulse, I can see that this exception has been thrown now 3 times. And the latest was just only about 20 seconds ago when I hit that page. So we can see that kind of information coming in. One of the things that I want to do right now is this page. This is something that I really only want my developers to see. Let's go ahead and secure this page. We'll go back to the Laravel Pulse docs. So we did the installation. Here's the configuration. We haven't done this, so let's go ahead and do this artisan command. And again, I'm using Kit, so I'm gonna run Kit and then artisan, and it'll run that command inside the container itself. And it says it already exists, so I must have already done it once. But let's go ahead and pull that up then. Let's just get rid of this. Let's take a look here what's all in this. This is the configuration file for Pulse now. So there are some values in here where you could set the storage limit. So if you only want to store, looks like it's set up by default to store about 7 days. And it looks like there's other little things in here. Or let's go back to the docs over here, because this is the page I want to see. So in the authorization, I want to eventually put that code in somewhere. Looks like it's going to go into their app service provider. Let's get that up. And in the boot method. So I'll drop that in there. Let's import these classes. So it's that one. Just make sure facades gateway, yep. And this user class. It's gonna be my user model. And so what looks like what it needs is just a Boolean whether or not we're gonna let this person in. I have a list of email addresses for all the developers. So I'm gonna go ahead and do email is in, and I suppose it's under Zapple.developer emails. Let's use that. So now theoretically only people who are listed in the developer emails should get access. And that is me for sure on this one. So if I refresh this, I should still get access. But let me go ahead and log out now, and I'll log in as a different user. Now, so I'm logged in as Josh Smith. Theoretically, this user should not have access to that page. So that's exactly how we want this thing configured, is only the developers get access to the Pulse page. So let me go ahead and log out as Josh Smith, and I'll log back in as, and then should once again access is restored. Perfect. Let's go back to the docs again. Let's scroll on down here. So the dashboard has cards. All right, and so you can see each of these little areas is a card. And let's go ahead and take this and publish this. So now there's a new file, vendor pulse dashboard. It says it already exists, so it was already there. I don't know which one it is. Vendor, it's got to be this one. This is the one that's in the application. So here is apparently the dashboard. And let's just do something crazy here just to make sure. If I put some text in there and I refresh this, do I see that somewhere? Definitely changed it, so it must be somewhere. There it is. It's in this black font. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and get that. I just wanted to verify that we were indeed dealing with the right thing. All right, so they've got this thing set up so that each of these little cards, you can define how many columns and rows it takes up. So you can see this Pulse usage right here. It takes up 4 columns and 2 rows. So this is apparently 4 columns, and then that's 2 rows deep. Pulse queues takes up 4 columns, 4 columns. This next one takes up 8, which looks pretty good. The one thing I'm missing here is I'm missing this pulse.servers. I don't see that at the top. It's supposed to be calls full all the way across the top. Let's see what it says. And each of these is using Livewire, so that does mean that all these little cards probably update kind of automatically using Ajax so that we can get the data and it's live coming to you. Resolving users, I think because I'm just using the default stuff, I think that's okay. So servers card displaying usage for all servers running pulse check command. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Pulse check. So what it looks like is this is like a PHP Artisan Horizon service. So it's going to be a long running service that we're running here. So I'm going to go ahead and SSH into the container again and see if I can just run this. All right, so theoretically that is running on that container. Now if I come back over here, now indeed that server does now show up, so we can see all of that. And I'll probably get this configured in my production environment. So one of the things I am a little concerned with these kinds of things is, you know, they do tap into the system a little bit, and they do kind of tap off some of the capability of your system. So a certain amount of CPU, a certain amount of memory, and so I'm always concerned when I see these things running. And hopefully, you know, this is very efficient and it doesn't really use a lot of CPU especially. But it's definitely nice information here for that particular server, which is my dev box. And if I go back to the docs, so it does say probably we should put this into kind of a supervisor type of role. So we'll do that in production. And it looks like when we deploy new versions, we'll have to do this pulse restart, just like the Laravel Horizon. So when I deploy new versions of my code, so I usually have to do a Horizon restart command. All right, so far the installation here on the development side seems pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and check this code in, and I'm going to deploy this to production and see if we can see it in production. So I'm going to stop the Laravel, the pulse check command. I'm going to go ahead and get out of my container, and I'm going to switch over to my code base. And I can see at the very bottom, I can see all these new files that were added to the application, the code base here, and I can see everything that got modified. I do have this backlog. I'm just going to go ahead and check off this because we've kind of done that. So let's go ahead and commit, add these files. I'll push this up. Okay, and I am using Envoyer, so it's another Laravel ecosystem product here to deploy my application. So I'm going to go ahead and click the deploy button. And while this is deploying, I'm going to check out a few things here because I might need a new deployment hook after to restart this new service. So I'll probably add a new deployment hook. But for this initial deployment, nothing's really running, so I won't need it yet. And one of the things I know that happens in Laravel Forge, again, this is the kind of the low-level server I have on the application page, that I see scheduler and Laravel Horizon. And I'm wondering if this automatically picks up that it's running Pulse. So Forge can manage your application, schedule Horizon, Pulse, Reverb. To get started, project must have these. So I think once I do this initial deployment here, let's go ahead and see what this looks like. It's going through all of its gyrations here. It's almost done. I think now that it's completed, if I come back over to Forge and I refresh, hasn't yet. Maybe I just refresh it. There you go. So I just had to click the refresh button, and now Laravel Pulse shows up. And again, this is that service that runs automatically in the background. So I don't have to go into Supervisor and create a new comp file. Laravel Horizon is going to do that for me automatically. So I'm just going to turn it on. So it's going to create this daemon, and that's all fine. So I'm going to go ahead and click yes there. And so now, theoretically, if I go to my Zapple, and if I go to Pulse without logging in, I should not get access to the page. But if I log in first, and now I go to Pulse, just duplicate this, I should see everything running here. And because Laravel Horizon has started that daemon for me, I even see some statistics on the server itself. All right, so that's nice. Now, one of the things I saw before was deployment hooks. Let's pull over that doc again. So here is the command. I'm going to have to run this command whenever I deploy something new. And so let's add a deployment hook to, this is Laravel, again, Envoyer. So I'm going to add another hook. And I think I just have to do this. restart Pulse. And let's select the server that I want that to run on. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag it up so it's right after I restart Horizon. And I just want to double check maybe the config here for Horizon. Nothing special, right? Purge terminate. So it already changed its directory, and I think that that's going to be fine. Syntax wise, HBRSN Pulse restart. Okay. All right, so I think that this will work, and I'm just going to deploy one more time even though there's no code changes, because I want to make sure that it gets through that deployment hook. And I can see the deployment hook is here. Okay, so that has completed, and you can see it successfully restarted Laravel Pulse. And so at this point, my Zapple deployment is all set up, ready to go. Now, if you're not using Envoyer or you're not using Forge, and I recommend those tools, I mean, they save me a lot of time, but you can manage this yourself. So I'm going to pull over a terminal window, and I've already logged into my server. And what I'm at right now, if I print the working directory, I'm in etc/supervisor/confd. And in this directory, you can see all the conf files for supervisor, and this one was just added recently. And let's just go and cat that one out. And you can see everything that goes inside that comp file. So you could easily create this comp file yourself, and you can see what it does. I mean, it has a command that runs PHP 8.3 artisan pulse check, which is the command that we're supposed to run to keep that pulse check running. And it starts it, has all the auto start stuff. So Forge kind of does all of this for me in the background, but you could easily grab all of this, copy it, and paste it into a file and manage it on your own. Doing that in Supervisor, it's not that hard, it's not that challenging, but boy does Laravel make it easy. So I can just come here, refresh, and click that toggle switch, and I'm running Laravel Pulse. And the only other thing I had to do was set a deployment hook to restart Laravel Pulse. Easy peasy. That's the way I would recommend doing it. So at this point, looks like I have Pulse up and running in production, and it's gathering data as we speak. So that's about as far as I'm going to go with this Laravel Pulse in this video. I think there's other things you can do here to kind of really customize Laravel Pulse. It looks like you could probably create your own cards at some point if you wanted to. Everything's running through Livewire, so I'm sure you can create your own stuff there. So I'm going to let that run for a while. I might do a video later on just to show kind of the data after it's been running for a while, but at this point there's just not enough data there to kind of show everything. So that's it for now. I will see you next time.